Good Thursday morning, and thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jason Hackett. Let's get to your headlines. This morning, Americans are weighing in with their thoughts on the war in Iran. And according to a new NBC News poll, a majority is not backing the president's actions. The poll of registered voters comes as critics in Congress tried to limit President Trump's war powers. And as Pentagon leaders say the U.S. is winning, we're learning more about the 6 American service members killed in combat. NBC's Alice Barr has the very latest from Washington.
Hi there. We're tracking new developments after Pentagon leaders said they sank an Iranian warship in international waters. Iran is vowing to retaliate, the latest sign of an intensifying war. Air raid sirens in Jerusalem this morning and new explosions in Tehran as the U.S. and Israel trade fire with Iran. The message from the Pentagon and the White House that the U.S. is winning and larger waves of strikes are coming.
Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly.
President Trump arguing striking Iran was necessary to keep the regime from developing a nuclear weapon.
When crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen.
Critics in Congress dissatisfied with the administration's explanations pushed a resolution to limit the president's war powers without congressional approval, but Senate Republicans voted it down. That amid new details, a senior U.S. official confirmed to NBC News that Israel's prime minister called President Trump last Monday to say Iran's supreme leader would be meeting with his top advisors on Saturday, offering a chance to take them all out at once.
That obviously had an impact on the timeline of the operation, but not quite the president's decision in its entirety.
Trump officials point to a breakdown in nuclear talks with Iran last Thursday and the president's belief Iran would strike first. New polling from NBC News shows a majority of Americans surveyed disapprove of the president's handling of the situation in Iran, as families mourn the 6 U.S. service members killed in Iranian counterstrikes on Kuwait, where they were stationed. Among them, 20-year-old Sergeant Declan Cody.
I just wish he could have known one more time that we all loved him because he was so amazing and kind.
Now Americans across the Middle East scrambling to get to safety with the administration promising help. Facing growing criticism about the planning to get stranded Americans home with thousands of flights canceled, the White House now says the administration is chartering flights free of charge and opening seats on military planes. In a very foggy Washington, I'm Alice Barr, NBC News.
Checking back in on gas prices, which have taken dramatic jumps since fighting began in Iran. Right now, the national average is $3.25. Minnesota's average is also over $3 right now. The worst prices centered around the metro. Developing now, a new position could be added to the Minneapolis Police Department. Today, the city council is weighing whether to approve a new director to help officers dealing with PTSD. Megan McPherson is at City Hall with details.
Good morning. Yeah, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara says the demands of Operation Metro Surge, along with other traumatic events that have happened over the last year, are putting a renewed focus on officer mental health. He is urging the council today to approve the new Director of Police Health and Wellness position, which would essentially lead to a newly created Health and Wellness division within the department. Last night, he presented a report on the impact of Operation Metro Surge on MPD. It shows more than 1,000 officer days off were canceled, while 911 calls increased by 10% during that time. O'Hara says the operation also took a major toll on the department's budget, with $6.4 million spent on overtime between January 1st and February 8th.
Do you have anything specifically that you're doing to control cost overruns, get things back within budget?
We're going to be more efficient. I think, especially with patrol, the way we handle things, you do not expect this level of overtime to be necessary for the rest of the year.
An MPD initially suggested funding this position by eliminating 2 other positions within the department, and that included a community social worker position. The council responded asking them to find a different way to fund it. O'Hara said they would do that, and now the proposal that the council will consider today is that alternative proposal.
Also happening today, a man who conducted background checks for ICE will head to court after his arrest in a Bloomington prostitution sting. Prosecutors say Brashad Johnson was one of 30 men charged with hiring or agreeing to hire a prostitute. Charging documents say he texted a number from a fake online ad and agreed to pay $100 for what was described as a, quote, quick visit. Developing this morning, a new move from the House Oversight Committee in their investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The committee has voted to subpoena U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. The GOP-led panel wants Bondi to testify about her role in the Justice Department's release of the Epstein files. Republican Representatives Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert joined 3 other Republicans and Democrats in supporting the subpoena. Before the vote, the oversight chairman said Bondi reportedly offered to brief members in small groups about the files. Minnesota's fraud scandal front and center in Capitol Hill as Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison face questions from the House Oversight Committee. Lawmakers spent hours pressing them about how a series of large fraud schemes were able to happen and whether the state could have stopped them sooner.
Wisely, we all support social programs.
That's not a fair characterization.
But if you're going to waste the money to fraudsters, then we have to stop and recalculate.
We're not. We're putting them in jail when we can, Chairman. And some of these programs are crafted in such a way that there's a procedure to follow. And I'm with you. $1 is too much. I don't think there's a lot of difference here if you want to help us get at this. The question is it a sledgehammer? Is it a scalpel?
A congressional report released before the hearing claims top state officials ignored credible fraud concerns dating back to 2019. The report says both Walz and Ellison were warned about fraud in several state social service programs, but did not stop payments. Both of them defended Minnesota's ability to fight fraud, saying over 300 people have been prosecuted. Developing now, one of the top bills at the state capitol this session to fight fraud is the proposal for a new statewide office of Inspector General. Under this proposal, the statewide Inspector General would have the power to investigate fraud across all state agencies. It passed the Senate with broad bipartisan support last year, but in the tied House, the two parties are stuck over the structure of the office. A House DFL proposal would lean on the BCA's expertise for investigations, while the House GOP says the Inspector General should have their own law enforcement division to preserve independence.
The things that we're not willing to give up on that the DFL seems to be pushing are the removal of the law enforcement piece. That's so important.
We think that there's enough independence already baked into the bill in other ways. Plus, we trust the sworn law enforcement officers at the BCA. These are not political appointees.
The bill has failed to advance out of the committee twice this session already, but both parties say they're hopeful to find a solution. Turning now to an update on breaking news we first brought you on Sunrise yesterday. We now know one person has died and another is seriously injured after being hit by a Ramsey County Sheriff's Office vehicle in St. Paul. State Patrol tell us the crash happened as a deputy was trying to help troopers stop a stolen vehicle. Officials say the deputy did have lights and sirens activated when he collided into the other car. Retired Police Captain Tom Gleason says most agencies restrict chases and focus on risk reduction, including the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office.
I don't care at what level training that you have. You can be the best driver in the world, but that person that you're chasing or the public in general, they do not have the same driving skills.
Now, the driver of the stolen car was arrested after troopers used a pit maneuver to stop him near Highway 280. The 27-year-old has a history of charges, including a recent count of possession of a pistol without a permit. New this morning, the St. Paul City Council has unanimously approved allowing new drive-thrus with restrictions. Among the new rules here, drive-thrus won't be allowed in downtown, high-traffic areas, or any standalone buildings. There's also a minimum of stacking spaces for cars. Restaurants must have 12, coffee shops 14. Day 2 of the boys' state hockey tournament starts in just a few hours at Grand Casino Arena. And off the ice, there's a big push here for $200 million in state funding to upgrade the building. Earlier this week, the Minnesota Wild and the city reached a framework agreement to fund renovations for Grand Casino Arena, River Center, and the Roy Wilkins Auditorium. But to move forward, the city needs the state's help to fund renovations. We asked fans if they think the arena needs an upgrade.
I don't think it needs it. I think it'd be cool if it does. I mean, the one thing that I don't like is changing the name. I mean, it's cool to say that you get to go to the X, not the Grand Casino, so. I mean, other than that, I don't really care.
If they redid it with some new stuff, yeah, then it would be like, oh, it's the Grand Casino, because otherwise it just looks like XL, the same name. So, yeah, I guess some improvements.
Officials say most of the work to the arena would happen on the north side of the building near 5th Street. They also say the arena needs more locker rooms and more facilities for when artists and concerts come to town. Stick with us. More news and weather after the break.